Something is happening on the Adriatic coast, and the media is covering the real story. When I first saw the headline, I almost scrolled past it. Albania, Flamingos, and Kushner. This is not just a story about one businessman or one corrupt politician. This is a story about nation rising up. A story about people refusing to bow to power. I want to show you what's really happening from the very beginning. What's happening today may seem small, but it's already sparked weeks of protest. Laws were rewritten overnight, journalists were pushed aside, and by the time the truth came out, the bulldozers had already started tearing the land apart. On June 20th, more than 250,000 took the streets in the Tirana. That's roughly 1 in every 10 people in the entire country. It's the biggest show of resistance this nation has seen since fall of the communism. As I'm recording this, it's day 42 of the protest, and they may not over yet. This movement now has a name. People call it Flamingo Revolution. So how did it really start? To help us answer this question, I had a quick call with Albanian activist Sazan Island, who has been at the protest from the start and knows the full history of what is happening right now.
What actually first sparked the protest was the decision made by the government to surround a protected area, a beautiful wetland in the south of Albania, with barbed wire installed by a private company.
Yeah.
For many people, that was already very shocking. The first protest was held on 16th of May, and during this peaceful protest to free, of course, that area, something happened, I think, that changed everything. One of the protesters, a local resident, was dragged on the ground and almost abducted by one guy from the private security company that was guarding the fence, the barbed wire. At the same time, the Albanian police were protecting the barbed wire instead of protecting the citizens.
Since then, people gather every single evening outside the Prime Minister's office. They wave Albanian flags, they chant two things over and over: Albania is not for sale and Edi Rama out. This is no longer just about one beach. Albanians who live abroad in Italy, in Germany, in the US are flying home just join the crowd. For many, this isn't only about flamingos or concrete anymore. It's about who their country belongs to. Albania must act without delay or risk its whole path toward joining Europe. So this is bigger than a resort. It's a protest movement. It's a name people gave themselves, and it might decide the future of countries' place in Europe.
This is not a violent protest. For more than 40 days now, not one single person has been hurt, not one police officer has been hurt. We're protesting because we want to see new figures in politics. We're tired of the old political class. We are being an example for the world, if I may say, on how people should use democracy.
Picture your childhood. Now picture the place where your family went every summer for generations. Imagine it's gone. In its place, there is a wall of concrete and you have to pay just to walk through. The wildlife that made this place special has been pushed out. The wild, beautiful coastline is turning into rows of rental units. This wetland has a name: the Narta Lagoon. For years, it's been one of the most important bird homes in the whole Balkans. More than 200 kinds of migrating birds stop here every year. Pink flamingos once painted these shores from end to end. So what happens now? Will Albania's coastline trade its natural beauty for a concrete tourist town? Watch this short clip.
Not only the island, but we have 5 miles of beachfront directly across from the island, this beautiful peninsula with a lagoon on one side, the ocean on the other.
This is where it all started. A small discovery, a wish to buy some land, and it sent hundreds of thousands of people into the streets. Now here is where it gets interesting. When journalists reach out to Kushner's investment firm, Affinity Partners, for a comment, the firm passed them along to a PR agency. That agency's statement said the firm has no involvement in the project. Meanwhile, Ivanka Trump was telling podcast audience about the 5 miles beachfront they own. Jared Kushner runs Affinity Partners. The firm now manages close to $4.8 billion.
Affinity Partners is just one of the company, but it's like a big scheme of shell companies, a very good method to hide the real owners. So it's really tricky and complicated, and you need to have good knowledge also of economy in order to understand how they do for me to clean money and to invest in protected areas.
Let's talk about what this project really looks like. Not just concrete, real numbers. Plan on paper shows up to 800 hotel rooms, plus 520 private villas, plus 600 townhouses, plus 1,400 apartments, and a casino. Big hotel brands are said to be in talks to join. The kind of names you see in Dubai or Tropas. This is not a small hotel by the beach. This is a new city, built on a former Soviet military island and a wildlife reserve.
But there's a lack of transparency about all the process because Affinity Partners, they even 2 years ago, Jared Kushner, in his Instagram page, actually, he has a video and some pictures of the project on the Zvernets and Sazan area. But after the scandal happened, Edi Rama was saying that actually there's still no development plan. So actually, after all this day, I don't really know if there is a real project.
One man named Batozi said something that stuck with us. He said Albania feels like a studio apartment, barely enough room for the people who already live there. Now imagine a 5-star resort taking the best part of the room and closing the door behind it. This is the real question behind the protest, not just flamingos, not just concrete. It's this: when a country's most beautiful coastline gets sold, who actually get to walk on it? Now it's time to talk about the facts. Adriatic says this investment will bring big brands to Albania and turn it into a tourism success story. But will this money actually help the people of country? Let's follow it and see where it really ends up. Start with the numbers. Rama calls this 4 billion euro project, but the Sazan Island portion alone is valued somewhere between 1.4 and 1.6 billion dollars. The numbers don't even match. That's our first clue about how transparent this really is. Now the real question. How much of this money stays in Albania? The government gave this project strategic investor status, faster permits, long-term leases, but here's the catch. Affinity Partners reportedly won't pay tax during construction, and the government is covering the infrastructure, water, electricity. The investor gets the profits, the taxpayer gets the bill. So who actually owns the money? The company running the project is controlled by 5 shell companies, all registered in Amsterdam. Trace the money and you hit a wall of paperwork in Netherlands. One of the partners is a Qatari holding company. In June, prosecutors froze a linked firm's bank accounts over an investigation into fake property titles. And an independent investigation found the wider network includes a businessman with alleged mafia ties and a former judge who resigned mid-wedding. One more thing. Until 2024, the land was protected. Then the law changed just weeks before Kushner's firm got that strategic investor status. No business plan, no feasibility study. So here is the summary. Tax breaks for the investor, the bill for the states, ownership hidden behind offshore companies, and a protected coastline that lost its protection with that looks like one phone call. And what's left for the people? Maybe 5,000 jobs and a beach they used to swim in for free, now behind a fence. So the question on the streets is simple. Is this Albania's development, or is a few investors using Albania's future tax-free with nobody keeping score? Not everyone agrees with the protesters. Let's hear the other side. Prime Minister Adriatic says the protests are not real anger. He calls them hysteria. He says foreign media made the story bigger than it is. Some people agree with him. A former Albanian ambassador said this project will bring $4 billion into Albania. He said it will create jobs for young people. The government says the land is private land. They say investors have every right to build there. But here's a strange fact. Security guards were hired to guard the building site. Videos showed these guards pushing protesters away by force. The videos went online. People got angry. After that, the Albanian government punished the guards. So who do we believe? The government says jobs, money, growth. The protester says broken laws, hidden owners, a coastline sold and screwed. Both sides can be fully right, but only one side has bulldozers on the beach. Let's end with something strange. Something most people don't know. Years ago, a man named Enver Hoxha ruled this country. He was a communist, a dictator. He closed Albania off from the whole world. He believed enemies were everywhere. So he built bunkers, hundreds of thousands of them all across the country. Some are still standing today. Sazan Island was one of his most guarded secrets. Under Hoxha, no regular person could set foot here. It became a hidden military base, soldiers only, no visitors, no cameras, no questions. For many years, the Soviet Union used this island as a secret base too. Submarines hide here. And there is more. The island was also used to test chemical and biological weapons. Old gas masks from that time can still found there today. Now, this same island may become a 5-star resort. Maybe that's the real story of Sazan, a place that was hidden from its own people once, and now it may hidden from them again. This time behind a fence, a price tag, and a 5-star name. The protesters are not just fighting for a beach, they are fighting to know the truth. Who owns their coast? Who decide this and when? And why did the law change just weeks before the deal? Day 42. The people are still on the street, the flamingos are still flying, and the world is finally starting to watch. Before you go, one more thing, because this is not the first time. Just months ago, Kushner had another plan, not in Albania, in Serbia. He wanted to turn a bombed-out military building in Belgrade into a $500 million luxury hotel. The building was hit by NATO bombs in 1999. For many Serbians, it wasn't just a building, it was a memory. So students protested. People formed a human wall around the building just to protect it. And then, in December 2025, a government minister was formally charged with corruption over the deal. Hours later, Kushner's company walked away. The project was cancelled. So here is the point. This exact playbook, a bombed our protected piece of land, a Kushner deal, a government bending the rules to make it happen, it already ran once before, and it lost. Serbia's protesters didn't have more money than Kushner. They didn't have more power. They just didn't stop showing up. So maybe that's the real lesson for Albania, and for Sazan, and for the flamingos still standing in that lagoon. This has happened before, and it can happen again.